Kendrick Lamar.
I really just been keeping it in-house. The people that I came up with on Section 80, Kendrick Lamar, ODEP, I want to lock in with them first. You know, because
I'm back with another video in this ongoing series. After doing his first record, we have to keep going in this. I'm already anticipating something more from Kendrick Lamar after going through his debut, Section 80, because this one is a new chapter in his career, and we'll be going through the record that sharpened his voice and career with his 2012 release, Good Kid, Mad City.
just imagine the magic I like to ask.
So in the last video, I reviewed his debut, if some of you remember, Section 80, that I actually enjoyed. What was so cool about Section 80 is how conceptual it was, as well as the great songwriting skills that he already developed. Knowing that he was displaying this great level of focus for a record for the most part, that conceptual angle is something that I hope he doesn't really let go of as he goes into his career much further down the line. Now, just like with me, critics already saw the potential in Kendrick Lamar this early, and after gaining praise, he went on the road, performing at festivals, opening for bigger artists, and headlining his own shows. By 2012, he signed a joint deal with Aftermath and Interscope Records, ultimately having connection to legendary West Coast rapper and producer Dr. Dre. By the way, if you're an upcoming rapper and you get noticed by one of the greats, especially one that's from your hometown, you got something good on your hands. Kendrick does need to take advantage of this because this is probably the only shot that he's gonna get in this. So what is this next record going to entail? The writing process was done while he was on the road touring. The producers played more of a role in this making of the record. Of course, Dr. Dre was one of them. Other notable names were Soundwave, Pharrell Williams, Just Blaze, DJ Dahi, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Terrence Martin, T-, and more. The record happened in several places and studios such as TDE Red Room, at My Mama Studios, apparently that's a real place, the Encore Studios, Patchwork Studios, and Body Music, apparently that's also a real place too. Kendrick wanted to go back to his hometown for inspiration, reconnecting with his emotions and experiences of being a teenager in Compton. We do have a first look into that era, so let's hear the first single of this rollout, The Recipe.
Down the block of you, Ali, H-A-T-E.
I mean, how is this played to the record again? Someone please tell me, I'm confused. This does not have much to do with the direction he wanted to go with this record. While I can judge on that front, it is good. The production I thought was a nice touch with the twin sister sample of Meet the Frownies. It leans into that sunny atmosphere while keeping the drum loop that's deeply West Coast thanks to producer Scoop DeVille. From the lyrical content, it's a love letter to Los Angeles with all of the references to music, cars, and neighborhood pride. One thing I am glad is that Dr. Dre is on the song making an appearance, considering that Dr. Dre by this point, and probably by the 2000s, was already cemented as a legend in the West Coast and hip-hop at large. I mean, Kendrick teaming up with him was the right and obvious move. In a way, it's like he's passing the torch to Kendrick as passing on the sound of the West Coast onto the next generation. It was praised for its relaxed California vibe. I mean, Kendrick already hit the mark, and considering everything prior to this, this is a sign of something better to arrive in the future. There was supposed to be a music video, but the video was never released. Instead, we got a performance of them at Coachella. Yeah, damn. Two rappers that represent two generations on the same stage is just awe-inspiring. So that was the first single. What was the next one? Wait, what? Wait a minute. Is he going for a trap banger? Okay, now that we've gone through the first single, at a first glance, this is also odd for his rollout. I need to grab my shovel and do some digging to get more details. Okay, did some digging. I got some dirt in the process, but I have found some rich details about the song. Now, this song goes beyond the surface of people just drinking. It goes into why they do it in the first place. It's an interesting angle, but the way he displays it, it's such a step up from his previous material. Kendrick takes us through the times he grew up around alcohol. You know, with it being normalized, it became a way to cope with pain, and his own grandfather's struggles with it too. The hook, in a way, emphasizes that no matter what people did, they would ultimately turn return to just drinking habits. Of course, peer pressure is a theme that I noticed that the song explores. He frames it as a way to fit in, more confident. That being an ongoing cycle and expectation from him as well. Also very much a trap banger with the booming bass and the vocals that very much do echo. It's almost hypnotic with Kendrick's nasally delivery on the chorus that hits every time it just comes back. The music video, directed by m.A.A.d, plays to the depth of the song's message. There's moments where we're shown house parties being contrasted with the emotional cost of drinking. Even the dreamy atmosphere complements the song's material, with Kendrick rapping as bottles and people float around him. This was his first major crossover hit and earned him a nomination for Best Rap Performance at the 56th Grammy Awards. Now, this is where many more eyes were on him, given that his commercial success was already being recognized for the song. It seems like he's starting to really trying to be more trendy. He's starting to really try to appeal to a wider audience. Now I think Kendrick is focusing on giving what the record is going to entail. Now, that record itself came out proper on October 22nd that year in 2012. The cover truly gives us a glimpse of what we're possibly getting here. I mean, look at that text. A short film by Kendrick Lamar. Okay, so that's how he's framing it. I'm expecting something to be grand to a degree. One last thing I need to mention, I won't be diving deep into the lead singles as I go through the record. One of them isn't even on the record, but Swimming Pools is. Again, I won't dive deep into it again. I've said this numerous times across a couple of videos prior to this. I will mention how it plays to the record as we go throughout the track list. With that being said though, let's dive into the track list itself.
I met her at this house party on El Segundo in Central. She had the
Kind of feels like I'm in the sky in an odd way. I mean, because of that ambient part that plays in the song, that gets that feeling for me. But in all seriousness, the song starts with a prayer as it goes into a story about meeting a fictional girl named Shireen when Kendrick was 17. Now, if I'm being honest, the beat is so weird and farty. Gosh, it kind of smells in here. It's not terrible, it's fine, but I do like the vocals on Kendrick's part. That creepy vibe is like walking through a black and white colored neighborhood with memories of your past. The beat was produced by The Business, who has worked with Kendrick for years by this point. I would say that the story is very clear in this. Kendrick went to a house party and became infatuated with her, or at least with this girl. He tries to begin a romantic relationship with her, despite all the warning signs with his family ties to gangs and letting his attraction cloud his judgment. As the song gets at the end, it shows two guys in black hoodies.
two black hoodies. I froze as my phone rang.
His mother leaves a voicemail asking where her van is, but then it leaves off in a cliffhanger. Don't leave me like this, Kendrick. This also establishes temptation, which is something that can change the course of your life. I think Kendrick displays that very well, given the fact that he recounts being 17 years old and meeting a girl named Shireen. Part of that is his youth chasing romance and desire, but that's the thing. His youth is naive. I mean, he doesn't know any better. I mean, part of the title being Master Splinter, the only reference I can really get from that is that we all know that that's the rat from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I guess it could imply that he's some, a hood rat to some respects, but even that could possibly be a stretch.
Bitch, don't kill my vibe. Bitch, don't kill my vibe. Bitch, don't kill.
We got more of a chill and relaxed vibe here. Wait, who's the bitch? The song showcases a level of maturity with him telling the listener that he's not perfect and he's willing to not let opinions or expectations of others derail his path. I mean, think about that part of the title. Don't kill my vibe. He's pushing against the people who are only there for his money and fame, pressure from the music industry, negative influences, and his own struggles with sin, temptation, and spirituality. Now, already having this philosophy this young at the age he's at when this record came out, it's a great declaration of artistic independence. This does sound quite dreamy. Like the previous track, there's a sample of Tidden Flavor by Danish group Boom Clap Bachelors. While I do think it's a banger, it's definitely something that gives me an idea that there's potentially some manifestation here in the works for the future from this angle of the track. So this track is more or less giving us his mindset and, studying it. Now, to my surprise, it was originally going to have Lady Gaga, the fame monster herself. That version of the song is a cool track. It's a cool version of the track. It just has Gaga doing some verses, handling the hook alongside Kendrick. Their vocal chemistry isn't really there in my opinion, but her voice is quite nice on her own. It didn't officially fully release on the record because of deadlines and timing, but she did release the original with Kendrick's blessing. There was also the remix with Jay-Z, and I think it's another cool version of the song. But just like with Dr. Dre, this showcased two generations working very well together. The music video showcases a funeral with Kendrick being surrounded by friends and family. Then it ends with Death Tamale, which Kendrick has explained that it was a critique of the growing trend of glorifying MDMA in rap music, thinking that the culture had become too casual about promoting it.
Kendrick have a dream.
my god, this track is so wild and unhinged. But the overall narrative of the cut does play a vital role in this record's narrative. Now we gotta talk about this production first. It sounds hella explosive, with it being produced by Hit Boy. The beat was originally for singer Sierra. What I can understand, that didn't pan out. And when Kendrick heard it, he actually wanted it for this record. It features samples of Yo Soy Cubano by the Chacachas and a soundbite from the Powerpuff Girls of all things.
Nasty.
I mean, knowing that now, I mean, those are samples that I've always noticed in the song. I didn't even know were samples. There was a segue into the track from the previous one by one of his friends telling him to get his freestyles ready. And it is literally Kendrick in the backseat of his car freestyling with his friends, which probably does explain how much why he sounds so unhinged over this already unhinged production. His flows gets very aggressive as well as a bit nasally in a way to portray his like 16-year-old self. He's like very over the top when it comes to trying to be just as crazy as his friends for approval and, you know, wanting respect. Hypermasculinity was another one I caught, and teenage ambition. Now he has explained that this vocal delivery was inspired by Eminem. Now I can't say that I don't hear it. I mean, that goes to show how influential Eminem is. I mean, the music video only plays a small role in this, with everything in black and white, and the fictional woman from the beginning, Shireen, is twerking. I mean, she's got the whole bakery, I'll say that.
Really, I'm a so-and-so, but I'm with.
Okay, now being hit with a dose of reality. Okay, it's here that Kendrick gives a tale about being with his homies, with him saying that he's a sober soul, which more likely means that he's very much aware of what's going on. And he gets into very rich detail, of course, involving drinking, smoking, harassing women, stealing a van, plan and carry out a home invasion, and fleeing from the police. I mean, he does make it clear that he wouldn't normally do this, he's just filled with the desire to fit in. This surprisingly doesn't frame peer pressure as forcing you to do something. In fact, it argues the opposite. He's not joining because he feels threatened, it's because these are his friends, and that's more important to him, which clouds his judgment. Production is thorough, with the first half being a lot warmer. I love that G-Funk synth, piano chords, and relaxed grooves that do capture that atmosphere from the beginning of the song until the halfway point. The second half gets into a bit of a beat switch that's a lot more dark, and that could mirror the discomfort with the stuff he's doing in the song. It's like the production shares the atmosphere of the narrative. I can only see the song as the actions that you are doing are more than likely influenced by those around you. I mean, despite this track being over 5 minutes long, there's really no filler. There's no filler on this. Not even the last part of the track, where when it gets revealed that his friends have to leave because he's going to see Shireen, which is the girl we met in the beginning, but they're setting up an ambush. He's now willing to take this path he wouldn't normally take, which probably explains the next track.
We had to free your mind. Yep. Then freeze that verse.
Yet it's 6.5 minutes long, and it earns the right time. Already, I love the dreamy production and the vivid storytelling of the track. I mean, there's no literal money trees here, not literally. He uses it as a metaphor for fantasy of wealth. Even he starts to question, you know, we all understand that money buys happiness. You know, I beg to differ, but in this, it often means taking shortcuts that are dangerous, things like robbery and drug dealing. The track takes place just right after he got jumped like outside of Shireen's house. It acts like a reflective moment on things like getting rich, escaping his hometown, living in luxury, and never wanting to have a financial burden ever again. Temptation is brought back again, but now it just involves temptation with money. It shows how poverty can distort a person's priorities. Now, J-Rock's verse has always caught my attention because of his voice and his timbre, honestly. He has a pretty big mic presence, I would say. His perspective is a lot more direct because he's someone who's lived a lot deeper in the environment that Kendrick is describing. I mean, what else can I say about the hook? It's honestly infectious. Of course, DJ Dahi truly cooked with this song, even including the sample of Silver Soul by Beach House. I would say that he's now at crossroads between two lifestyles in its narrative. One is this very dangerous path that could lead to potential wealth, and the other could be much better for my overall safety and contain my ambitions.
Fuck that, pour up plenty of champagne. Cold nights when you curse this.
Ooh, a love song. Okay, for one, it's one of my favorite songs on the record. What I found that was so funny and telling about the song, that it's a direct reference to the 1993 film named Poetic Justice, starring Janet Jackson and Tupac Shakur. What's also funny, and it also samples a song called Anytime, Anyplace by Janet Jackson. Now, a song that I already enjoyed on its own, but with it being placed here, it makes it so much more smooth like lotion. Now, the song dives into trust and vulnerability, and when asked if a flower would bloom in the dark, Would we trust it? Likely, symbolizing that something beautiful can grow from an unlikely place. This song is like the most R&B influenced track that Kendrick has probably done thus far in his career. Another rapper who is making a real name for himself coming from Toronto is the one and only Drake. He was already known for his fusion of hip-hop and R&B. He fits on the song like a glove. Now Drake continues the romance and attraction of the cut. He does sound quite charming while doing so. And by the end, Kendrick is now confronted by two gang members. It's like what the opener left us off with.
And I'm easily prey. I got 8 alive yesterday. I got animosity building.
Wait, Pharrell Williams? Oh, that's right, I did say his name in the beginning, didn't I? Okay, we're gonna get back to him, but first we gotta talk about what the song's about. It's now trying to give us the bigger picture of the emotional and psychological impact of living in Compton, caught in the middle of everything, whether that's police or gangs. He even explains that he isn't a gang member, yet he's still treated with suspicion by police, one of which has not always had the best history with black people, if you know you know, and the other is something he actively volunteered in. Now that ultimately gave him the feeling that nowhere is safe. Now he's beginning to reflect on what these experiences have been doing to him mentally. Going back to the production that was made by Pharrell Williams that I mentioned earlier, it's quite dark and minimal, which is something he's been known for by this point. The background vocals are done by Chad Hugo, who's one half of the Neptunes. Kendrick immediately connected with the beat because of its dramatic feel, while Pharrell praised Kendrick's writing skills. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not crazy about the track. It's cool. That's more or less because of how minimal it is, but it gets the job done. Please raise your hand if you've heard this song somewhere in the past. Oh damn, that's a lot of people. When the beat drops, it gets going. It's incredibly explosive. There are two specific meanings behind this title. My Angry Adolescence Divided. Wait, that's the first one. And My Angels on Angel Dust. Alright. I had to remind myself that he's referring to the drug and not the flamboyant spider. He does refer to a real experience he had with unknowingly smoking marijuana laced with PCP as a teenager. Now, at this point, he's now at the end of his rope, basically his breaking point. And he does this by throwing us into the reality of growing up in Compton by giving us a barrage of memories, seeing shootings, witnessing murder, police harassment, drug use, gang violence, and constant fear, or basically anxiety. All of them are basically coming from the hand of the other. The explosiveness of the production in the first half of the song, which I mentioned earlier, is a highlight for me on the track. It is frantic, it's aggressive. Those synths mirror the panic and adrenaline what Kendrick's fast-paced delivery. By the second half, there's the m.A.A.d feature that takes me back into a time of the classic days of early 90s G-Funk. Reminds me of Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. m.A.A.d is a Compton legend who plays the role of representing the generation of West Coast artists before Kendrick's generation. Him inviting an older rapper from the same area gives us, the listeners, a sign that what Kendrick has been experiencing is the norm for those who have to grow up in Compton. The song gives us the idea that trauma becomes normal and happens routinely. He recalls witnessing some horrifying events as a child, and this repeated exposure to violence eventually makes you become numb to it. I mean, one of the biggest takeaways of this record comes from here too. The environment you grow up in can have a lot of influence on you, and then it just becomes a cycle that traps generations. But for me, this is probably the best song on the project, and it's very telling about Kendrick laying everything out while letting m.A.A.d give a bit more insight on his own experience.
My life, I'm fortunate you believe in a dream. This orphanage we
Wait, oh god. This one's 12 minutes long. Okay, give me a minute so I can grab my shovel again. Okay, now that I've got a full understanding of the song, I can inform it to you guys. Now, the song is split into two sections that serves as a moment of reflection, grief, and spiritual rebirth. There's a lot to the song, so buckle up. Kendrick now becomes other people whose lives have been shaped by violence. In the beginning, the first verse is being told from the perspective of Dave's brother, Kendrick's friend, who was killed at the end of the previous track, Swimming Pools. He's thanking Kendrick for staying with Dave as he died, but he admits he wants revenge. That will do nothing but continue the cycle of violence, which reminds me of when Ricky got shot and killed in Boys in the Hood, and Ice Cube's character would kill Ricky's murderer, but in the end he would just get killed as well. Great movie, by the way, great movie. After the song gets interrupted by gunshots, then we get reintroduced to a character from his debut. Keisha's sister is back in the picture, and I remember the heartbreaking story of Keisha's song. Like, if any of you know Keisha's song, it's such a heartbreaking tale. She's criticizing Kendrick for turning her sister's tragic life into music, making it confusing on whether or not he's benefiting from her pain. What makes this part of the song so interesting is that Kendrick is willing to go as far as criticizing himself as a storyteller and possibly as a sign of maturity. By the time we get into the third verse, he's now speaking for himself, like as Kendrick Lamar. He has this level of survival skill and responsibility that he feels as an artist. He is seemingly less worried about fame and wonders if his music will matter when he's gone. Now, the second section of the song is more about the thirst, not necessarily in a physical or flirtatious way. It's a lot more spiritual. Both him and his friends are now exhausted by everything that we've gotten from violence, anger, and trauma. They're now desperate to find something that's just gonna break this never-ending cycle. And I think that in a way that's part of like what the title means. That's them dying of thirst, them trying to find something, I guess, quench their thirst or help them hydrate, finding something that will break the cycle. And that could also be like a connection to the last song, Swimming Pools. The portion of the song when an elderly woman stops them to lead them through a sinner's prayer, asking them to confess their sins and turn toward God. This is one of the most incredible levels of songwriting that he's done thus far, if not the best level of storytelling in his writing skills thus far. It might be one of his best, or if not his best thus far. This is like the pinpoint to the point on a single track. But it being over 10 minutes long, it has a damn good reason to be that way. And this narrative sounds like a real turning point for Kendrick in this concept. Now Kendrick is redefining himself alongside Anna Wise, who makes an appearance on here. Their vocal chemistry is not fully there, especially on the chorus with Kendrick's nasally voice. The production is a little too mellow for my taste, a lot less meditative than its predecessors on the track list. But with all that being said, it does bring another revelation to the record. To him, being real isn't about looking tough or earning street cred. Being real is more about self-love, responsibility, breaking destructive cycles, and accepting your flaws. By the time that voicemail arrives, one part that tied up the theme of being real was this.
Any you can kill him, man. That don't make you a real.
I thought that this was truly telling because it means that your family and responsibility should take priority first over your, I guess, wants. Even his mother encouraged him to learn from his past mistakes, and when he becomes successful, he should come back to Compton and help the next generation by sharing his story. That is just merely a taste for what we get for the finale.
The morning the rain the spot while Kendrick performing, and if they take everything, no.
Doc is back, and this being the end of the record, they're now celebrating their hometown. Now, I love the track first production that was handled by Just Blaze, who even gets a shout out. That outro with the vocoder and synth is incredible. Again, that also takes me back to the early 90s. I think putting Dr. Dre as a feature on this record could possibly be a appreciation for the greats that set the standard specifically for the West Coast. Just like with the recipe I mentioned way earlier, also like Dr. Dre passing on the torch to Kendrick. Those horns are another part of the production that makes it feel larger than life. Of course, by the end of the song, we get one last voicemail, but this time it's Kendrick mentioning that he'll be using the van, and that's something that circles back to the beginning of the project, which could be a way of how the cycle can be endless. Guys, this is an incredible record. Now, his songwriting and storytelling gotten even better than Section 80. Now, there was a lot more thought put into the songwriting, and he showcased a level of maturity by being self-aware about his own actions from the people that he may have, of course, maybe offended. Now, as of right now, this is my favorite Kendrick project. This is only his second record, and he's gotta have more in the tank if this is something he could pull off. While there were a few things I didn't like that much in the track list here and there was a lot to enjoy here, from the features, production, and songwriting skills that I've gotten next level. Now, if this is something we know now that he can do, where can he go from here? Where is he gonna go from here? I mean, I hope that destination is a place that is just as good, maybe at least quality, and possibly above and beyond. But we'll just have to wait and see. Which is why I'm willing to give this an A+. Not only was this record a commercial tsunami, but this turned Kendrick from one of the brightest newcomers into one of hip-hop's defining artists. The album debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, selling 242,000 copies in its first week. Holy shit. It marked the highest first week sales for a male hip-hop artist in 2012 at the time. It also reached the top 10 in other countries, including Canada, New Zealand, and the Netherlands. It also showed a lot of staying power, got certified 3 times platinum by the RIAA, and sold more than 1.7 million traditional copies. The singles from the record received a ton of praise from tracks like Swimming Pools, Poetic Justice, Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe, Backseat Freestyle, and The Recipe. Critically, this was nearly unanimous in its praise. Named Album of the Year by several publications, such as Pitchfork and Complex, just to name a few. Now for my favorite part, the Grammys. Now this is where he's gotta shine. He gotta shine. And this record earned him 7 nominations that included Album of the Year, Best Rap Album, Best Rap Performance, as mentioned earlier with Swimming Pools, a Best Rap Song, and most of all, Best New Artist. Okay, let's see if it won that.
Macklemore and Ryan Lewis.
What the hell are we doing? What the hell is this? Macklemore and Ryan Lewis. Yeah, I'm gonna uninstall. So that was a robbery of the fucking century. Oh god. Wait, what's this? Macklemore texted Kendrick by telling him they should have won the award? Look, his heart was in the right place. I'm sure it was lighthearted, but god damn it, talk about performative white guilt. That was a journey. Jesus Christ. Okay. Oh, and by the way, I'm so glad some of you guys actually enjoyed the last video I made. I'm glad y'all enjoyed this as much as I do as I go through these Kendrick records in this series of going through Kendrick Lamar's catalog. Yeah, this has been Mochi Does Reviews, and as always, I'll see y'all in the next video.
Girlfriends in your code in that little bitty range, I heard that she wanna go and party.